Hey everybody! So with the most recent episode of My Hero Academia name-dropping my favorite character in the series, I think it's time we did a bit of a revisit to my favorite cloud boy, Shirakumo. So this one's for you anime-onlys who've never picked up the manga, because this week's episode once again only brushed over his name instead of giving us a flashback and debut that he deserves, pissing me off intensely. And that means that this video is gonna contain spoilers for My Hero Academia Vigilantes, and will be acting as a backstory explanation and quirk analysis, so no future manga spoilers on the My Hero Academia side of things. I got you on this one. And if you want to become one of the regulars here at the bar, be sure to click that notification bell as well and never miss a premiere. And with that said, let's go grab a drink. Welcome to the bar, folks. It's been a while since I've had the opportunity to talk about Shirakumo, who's honestly one of my favorite characters in My Hero Academia, if not my favorite. But now that almost 2 years have passed since the introduction of Shirakumo in My Hero Academia Vigilantes, I think it's time for you anime-onlys to know that there's more than just a simple name drop from Present Mike when it comes to this character. Because the episode, in comparison to the manga, keeps us in the dark as to where Shirakumo is right now, and it's really confusing because at this point in the story, you're supposed to have him planted in your brain. Though if you read My Hero Academia Vigilantes, which is the spin-off to My Hero Academia, it acts as a prequel to the entire series, and the timetable of which the story is taking place hasn't been explicitly stated, though a general understanding is that Vigilantes is more or less taking place 5 years prior to the main story. And we know this because when All Might makes his debut in Vigilantes, he's already lost Night Eye as a sidekick and has suffered the career-ending injury against All For One, meaning this story could have started mere months after his debilitating injury. Anyways, within this spin-off series, therein lies an arc dedicated to Shota Aizawa as he goes through UA High School that I've aptly named the Eraserhead Rising arc. So let's not waste any more time here at the bar. Let's head over to the wall and break down who Shirakumo is and what he means to the story, because that episode did not give you anything to imply. Alrighty, so for the uninitiated, let's get acquainted with Shirakumo, but first, I gotta add on to my Season 5 slander, because they've omitted 2 flashback sequences so far, here and here. And now that those 2 flashbacks have been omitted, I'm just out here wondering what direction they're gonna be moving for Aizawa's arc this season, and in general, where My Villain Academia is supposed to take place, because the Christmas episode that's next, that happens after My Villain Academia. So I'm just becoming a little bit confused as to the episode structure of the rest of the season. But enough of that. We're here to talk about Shirakumo, so let's get to it. So, Shirakumo Oburo was a second-year student of UA's Class 2A, along with his best friends Hisashi Yamada and Shota Aizawa. His quirk is called Cloud, and it enables him to take the air around him and create clouds that vary in thickness and size. From what we see in the flashback arc, he only has one special move currently called Cloud Cover, but other than that, he can float and make the cloud move at decent speeds, ranging from a simple support quirk to something that can put him on the offensive. He's also got a few support items. He's got his extendable power pole, his goggles that help prevent cloud smoke from getting in his eyes, and he has this little gourd with a speaker on it because, while it can assist with communication amongst allies, it can work as a pretty intense misdirect for enemies. And while he's on patrol, Shirakumo goes by the hero name Loud Cloud as an homage to the fact that he, like me, is a bit of a chatterbox, and the cloud part is, well, because he summons clouds. And in fact, Shirakumo actually roughly translates to White Cloud. Anywho, his character is meant to be an homage to Sun Wukong from Journey to the West, as his cloud and extendable staff resembles Sun Wukong's iconic weapons. And in a way, I was always kinda waiting for Horikoshi's own variation of the Sun Wukong character, because in every manga, there tends to be an instance where the mangaka throws out daps to Journey to the West. Naruto had Roshi and Sun, and Dragon Ball has Goku, who's literally Sun Wukong. Not to mention, the manhwa protagonist Jin Mori from The God of High School is pretty much Wukong as well. So this is My Hero Academia's version of that iconic character, and the way that he's written in Vigilantes, you just become infatuated with his kindness. He's always a glass half full kind of guy in comparison to his best friend Aizawa. He's the person that constantly pushes his friends to do better, because when Aizawa felt like his quirk was useless, it took Shirakumo showing a bit of envy toward his quirk for Aizawa to become reinvigorated and keep his head up. Oh, and I only kind of mention it it in passing, but during this flashback arc, the troublesome trio of Class 2A at this point is Shota Aizawa, Shirakumo Oboro, and Hazashi Yamada. They're the infamous rooftop lunch brigade, and they tend to avoid the rest of the students and keep to themselves, except when a student named Nomuri Kayama shows up to antagonize the boys and eventually becomes a part of their friend group. She even helps recruit the struggling Aizawa and Shirakumo to the agency she's currently a third-year sidekick at when they strike out at finding agencies to bring them in, mostly because at this point in time, people favor quirks like Present Mike's, overwhelmingly strong quirks with huge amounts of stopping power. And if you can't tell by now, Kayama is Midnight, so while the trio always had Present Mike, Loud Cloud, and Eraserhead, Midnight appeared to complete their friend group and gave two of them the opportunity to come hone their skills at the agency of His Purple Highness, who is straight up an homage to Prince and JoJo's at the same damn time. Either way, upon seeing this character, we know Araki would be proud as hell. So in the beginning of their second year at UA, Shirakumo and Aizawa are looked at in different ways because in the beginning they weren't compensating for each other's flaws. Aizawa phones it in once he's done enough, and Shirakumo has the attitude befitting of a hero but is flunking grade-wise. It's only until Shirakumo suggests Aizawa become a brawler hero does the second year Eraserhead wake up to his true calling and the team of Loud Erasure is born. Oh, and one of my favorite little tidbits about this arc is why Eraserhead wears goggles in his adult life. It turns out our boy Shirakumo gave him his after their encounter with a smokescreen villain, and after that, it was a wrap. There was no stopping this duo anymore, and they suddenly became a fierce two-man tag team that nobody wanted to face off against. So with their newfound confidence, the goal was to start their very own hero agency with their favorite things, because we all know Aizawa loves cats. Either way, these three had no intentions of being sidekicks because they knew that they could go at it and climb the rankings without being under the thumb of another hero. Their quirks covered all the bases. So thanks to His Purple Highness and the heroes of Purple Revolution, Shirakumo and Aizawa became even more competent heroes and afterwards returned to UA stronger than ever. Though unfortunately, the tale of Shirakumo doesn't exactly end on a pleasant note. And if anything, this story really helps justify the reason why Aizawa is such a cold person and why he holds his students to a ridiculously high standard. One day, while at their internship as trainees, a villain known as Garvey appears. Garvey's quirk is a stockpile quirk that takes people's energy-based quirks, consumes their output of energy, and then fires it back via balls on his back. So while Sensoji aka Mr. Blaster and Hazashi aka Present Mike have their attacks absorbed, across town doing perimeter detail is Loud Cloud and Eraserhead. And during this moment is where Shirakumo tells Aizawa that the path of being a teacher suits him. You see here, even though that the kids loved Loud Cloud and his beautiful personality, the one teaching the kids to look both ways before crossing the street and preventing them from falling off Shirakumo's clouds is Aizawa. And this interaction right here between Shirakumo and Aizawa is the last they ever get to have, but it ends with Shirakumo telling Aizawa that he really has what it takes to do anything that he wants in his life, as long as he puts his mind to it. Because Shirakumo knows that Aizawa's problem will always be that he thinks too much about the situation, because even when it comes down to taking care of a kitten, Aizawa would rather leave an umbrella for said kitten to stay out of the rain than take on the responsibility of another life. Shirakumo, on the other hand, would go to school without an umbrella in general, and along the way see his friend's umbrella with said kitten under it, pick up both the umbrella and the kitten, return the umbrella to Aizawa, and make a cloud for the kitten to sleep on during class, all while being called out for stripping down to the buff and using his clouds as underwear. Anyways, back to the sadness. The encounter against Garvey gets a little bit out of hand, with him reflecting the quirks of the various heroes fighting him, including Present Mike's voice quirk. Across town, Midnight begins to panic over the comms, telling Shirakumo and Aizawa that their mentor, Purple Highness, has gone down and Garvey is headed their way. But before they can react, Garvey begins to light up the town. And that's when tragedy strikes, because Garvey's blasts cause debris to fall and plummet towards the preschool children and their teacher. So, instinctively, Shirakumo reacts while Aizawa freezes up. Shirakumo uses his cloud cover to save the children and the teacher, but at the cost of his life, as a massive boulder comes toppling down on top of him, killing him on the spot. The death of Shirakumo Oboro breeds the Eraserhead that we know today, and he's the main reason why he took on students like Shinzo. So now that every single one of you know the story of Shirakumo, I highly suggest you rewatch the OVAs that took place in between Season 4 and Season 5, as Aizawa pretty much put the students of 1A in the same predicament he was in to see if the students would make the mistakes that he made. Either way, the loss of his best friend causes him to become the reclusive hero that we know him as today, but also the mother hen that is extremely protective of his students. Aizawa experienced the dark side of what it means to be a hero at a very young age, so that's kind of the reason why he's so strict with his students and threatened every single one of them with expulsion multiple times. He always harps on the fact that you need to be able to protect yourself before you can go out and protect other people, and that's not because Shirakumo saved the children before saving himself. It's because when Shirakumo sacrificed himself for the greater good, all Aizawa did was look back in fear, unable to save his best friend. And as such, Shirakumo becomes a faint memory and a reminder of how cruel the world of being a hero could possibly be. Now, if you want to read the Eraserhead Rising arc, it begins on chapter 59 of My Hero Academia Vigilantes, and they can be read in their entirety on Viz right now with a subscription. So I highly recommend that every single one of you read this arc, because it is one of the most well thought out and meaningful arcs that take place in My Hero Academia Vigilantes. Eraserhead is one of my favorite characters in the entire series, so the fact that they took out the time to make a backstory arc about him in a completely different title was amazing, and getting him as the main protagonist for nearly 3 months back then was so cool. I mean, we got to see why Aizawa was so moody and broody, but also at the same time we get to see how the bug of being a teacher gets planted in his brain. But other than that, if you're a fan of shonen, you know that usually getting crushed by a rock means something, so keep watching, because I got a feeling you guys are gonna lose your damn mind at the end of season 5. And I only mentioned this in the beginning of the video, but I am kind of upset with how the anime is treating the reveal of Shirakumo. If there's one thing the postponement of his reveal does do, it makes me have hope for the Vigilantes anime out of everything, considering the amount of screen time he'll actually have then. Though that's gonna be it for my rant, and until next time, thank you all for coming by the bar. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button, but I got a cloud to catch. I'll catch you guys later. Cheers.